Hey guys, up in the attic we have a space between our two beams that is uninsulated. Instead of trying to get that loose fill insulation and bringing it over the beams and scattering it in there, it's just easier for us to get this bad insulation and use this. So we're just going to unroll it. Come over here, Jordan. I've got just a piece of plywood. We need 9 pieces, 38 inches long. We'll line it up here and compress and cut like that on our line, no measuring. So let's get going. All right, gang, we've got our 9 pieces cut, so let's bring them up in the attic and get them installed.
Hey guys, we're up in our favorite place, which is the attic, and we just put the insulation down, so we wanted to show you that, and also the ductwork that we moved for the vents. So you can see this insulation, each individually cut to fit nice in between our 2 beams that we put up. And then why don't you go ahead and talk about the insulation, Dad? Oh, I'm sorry, the ductwork.
So this one over here, remember we moved these 2 so they'd all be in a perfectly straight line, and I did sleep much better last night knowing that they were perfectly straight.
Nice.
And the other thing I thought of, you do all this work in a remodel, making one big room out of 2 smaller rooms, and if we hadn't moved the ductwork, I think people would always be able to tell, well, this used to be 2 rooms.
Sure.
But now that all that ductwork's lined up, it's going to look much better. So let's get this junk out of here. I hate leaving stuff in attics. And here's a little detail we do. We number the circuits on the junction boxes so that in the future somebody can know exactly which one that is.
Right, no guesswork.
Right.
Cool, well let's get this trash out of here and go downstairs.
I think we're about done up here.
You always say that.
Yep. We're ready to put on our second coat of mud. We wanted to give you a few little tips on how we keep mud overnight and how we mix mud. So we've got our very own national championship bucket here. If you don't have your own national championship, well, just any old bucket will do, but this works for us, and it might even be a repeat, huh, Jordan?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. So this is the mud left over from yesterday. We just cover it with about 1 inch of water, and that keeps the mud from drying out. And then notice the sides of the bucket are clean. We don't want any mud drying here and then spoiling our mud. And then we cover it with a lid or just a piece of wood or drywall. So we're going to pour this water off. The mud's not going to come out. And then you would just remix that and you're ready to go.
Sure.
But we need some more. So we get this all purpose. It's in a 48-pound box. So I'm just going to hold it with one hand, and we'll slice the bag like that, just like that. I usually do a better job than that. And then keep your box for trash. Like all this, see it's got some mildew on it. I'm just going to get rid of all this.
Nice.
That's it. So let's go
add some water, mix it up.
Yep.
Cool.
Hey gang, we've got all the mud on the walls, and today is everybody's favorite. We're going to start sanding, or we're going to finish sanding. And we just sand at the end. I think most people's struggle with drywall is they put on too much mud and they have to sand too much. Too much mud because 1, you're not mixing the mud and it's too thick. 2, you're not adding water. And 3, you're applying it too thick on the walls. So if you'll bear with me for a minute, I'll show you what I did yesterday, Jordan. I'm here with my 12-inch knife and my 4-foot level. Oh, this light doesn't work, does it? Okay. And I check all my joints. And I won't use this light because of what it does to the camera, but you can see how flat that is. And then I was particularly concerned about the ceiling because we had 5 or 6 patches plus these long seams where our beams are. So we got up there with this and just checked against the ceiling to make sure I didn't have any high spots. I mean, that's perfect right there. Over here, got a little bit of a gap, but that's the original drywall. And we're using 100 grit paper on a pole. And let me mask up. And I'm going to sand, and Jordan's going to go behind me with the vacuum.
Yes, sir.
Get all the dust up. And over here, wherever there's cabinets and tiles, you know, we're not going to sand it a lot. It all gets covered. So I'm on the walls, I'm going to do this edge and around both windows. Everything else gets covered. And then we'll hit the ceiling. Let's go. Hey guys, we're done with the rest of the room, but we're over here by this spot. This is where we added a receptacle, so we had to patch the wall. And we wanted to show you an important step that we do in our drywall finishing process. It's called blending. So this gets covered with cabinets and a backsplash, a tile backsplash here. So it's only got 2 coats of mud on it, but I'm going to sand it for you, and we're going to show you our next step. All right, that's fine for where this is in the room. Everywhere else in the room, it's going to get painted. All these ridges are gone. But what blending is we've got a wall that has some texture on it, or a ceiling. Now, granted, there's not much texture here, but this is smooth. So what we do, we take a wet sponge. This is just a grout sponge. And we blend those 2 edges. Can you see that? Now when we texture everything, we won't get a line where the smooth drywall compound meets the rough texture. Some people call this wet sanding. I've seen people just sand the entire room like this because they hate the dust from the pole, but this gets it nice and flat. So that's really all we need. Just going around the edges and knocking down that flat spot and blending it in with the texture.
It looks really good.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, that's a good step. So why don't we cut this in half and I'll help you.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, guys, so the entire room and ceiling is sanded, blended with the wet sponge, and now all we got to do is texture. So let's run to the store and pick up the hopper.
This thing's definitely...
All right, we got that sucker in there. Nice.
Good job. All right, there's our texture machine in the back of the truck, but we're starving, so let's go grab some lunch.
All right, lunch is secured. Gonna eat it, get the texture in, huh?
Yep. Good thing we went when we did, because they closed at 3 today because of the virus.
The rental shop?
Yep.
Yep.
Man, that'd cost us a day if we hadn't gotten there early.
Yes, sir.
If we had got there later. Hey guys, we're back from lunch. We got our sprayer all ready to go. Here's our mud. I mean, it's thin to a pourable consistency right there. So we're going to put some in the hopper, and we're going to go over to this wall right here. That's our test wall. And we're going to get our pattern the way we want before we start spraying the walls and the ceilings. We're going to use that wall because it gets covered up.
Cool. I'm gonna go turn it on.
All right. It's actually not bad. I like it.
Okay. All right guys, so all of the texture is up on the ceiling, up on the walls. It looks great. We went with a light texture just to blend with the rest of the house, and we think it looks incredible. If you want to come over here, we can kind of show you a little bit of how the texture turned out on this pony wall right on this corner. Again, a nice light texture coat with the mud. We had it nice and runny so we could pour it, and it turned out phenomenal. We love the way it turned out.
Yep.
But now the floor is super dirty with texture and dust and stuff, so we're gonna go ahead and clean it up. So let's fire up the vacuum, get the mop ready, and clean it up.
All right, guys, we're all cleaned up in here. The ceiling looks great. We can't wait to get a coat of paint on it and just to see how nice it really looks. But let's go outside, and we want to show you that texture machine, just to show you how it works, and if you have any questions about it, hopefully we can answer them. So it's an acoustical texture machine,
What would you ask for if you walked into a shop? So you didn't sound like a doofus.
I need to spray drywall texture. What do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And so this one has a hopper. This is made by Craft Tools, Craft with a K. So this is an air pump. I guess you could call it a compressor. There's just no tank like an air compressor would have. So when it's running, you just get straight air. And then they give you a little valve there. I don't think the last one we had this valve. I think it was just blowing air all the time.
I think if we had it turned on, it was blowing air.
Right.
Yeah.
There was something wrong with that one, remember?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And so then once your hopper is filled with mud, it's just gravity fed into this chamber, and when you pull the handle, it slides a gate back, and the mud falls into the airstream, and then it gets blown out right here, and you can choose which size opening you want depending on what the texture you want.
Yeah, and a small hole is fine.
Yep.
Fine texture, and the larger the hole, the more aggressive the texture.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the one we normally use around here.
I just like light texture.
Yeah,
period.
me too.
Some people like the heavy texture look, and I never even know. I knew there was texture on walls before I started working with you, but I never had noticed the difference in all the different houses, and you really start to notice.
That house in Texas had what they call a knockdown, so that's probably this one, heavy, and then they run a trowel over it and knock down the high spots.
Sweet.
So this was $100 a day. So we're going to bring it back in the morning. Hopefully they'll give us the half-day rental.
Cool.
All right.
And that's gonna be a wrap for today's video. We really love the way the texture came out. We're ready to paint and prime. Tomorrow, I think we're gonna start doing all that, so we're really excited. It's a major step in this entire process, is getting the drywall done and the texture on the walls, and it boosts our morale knowing that it's done and out of the way. We really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us on the channel recently. We just hit 1,000 subscribers a couple days ago, and we're almost already at 2,000, so we want to extend our gratitude to you guys, keeping the channel alive. We love all the comments, all the positivity you guys are leaving us down in the comment section, and if you guys have any comments on today's video, make sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and we'll try to get to you guys as fast as we can. A lot of comments are surfacing now, and it's hard to keep up, but we're trying our best. If you haven't already, please hit the like button on the video and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Good job today.